You're listening to Hooked on Creek, a podcast celebrating the music of Max Creek. I'm your host, Korre Johnson, and you are listening to Episode 8.
Another wind blows through the time I spend with you. Save each second in my mind. I remember the intensity of every little thing we see. Rings around, moonstone wide. In your eyes for an instant.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me on Episode 8 of Hooked on Creek. Before I jump into details about the Max Creek show I'm going to review in this episode, I want to give a quick update related to the Max Creek show I discussed in Episode 5. If you remember, in Episode 5, I interviewed David Berland, a huge fan of Max Creek and a talented singer-songwriter. In that interview, we discussed Max Creek's performance back on June 15th of this year at Lincoln Hill Farms in Canandaigua, New York, a show David had recently attended and really enjoyed. Well, now I'm excited to announce the Max Creek show we discussed in Episode 5 is now posted on archive.org. You can find a direct link in the show notes for this episode or over on hookedoncreek.com. And if you have not yet listened to Episode 5, I encourage you to check it out. Okay, in this episode, which is Episode 8, I'm going to discuss Max Creek's performance on April 4th, 1999 at Higher Ground in Winooski, Vermont. You can find a direct link to stream or download the entire Max Creek show I'm reviewing in this episode in the show notes, or simply head over to hookedoncreek.com. And while you're there, click the contact link and let me know what you think. I'm always looking for recommendations on topics to cover or Max Creek shows to feature in this podcast. All right, now let's get started. The show at Higher Ground in Winooski, Vermont, back on April 4th, 1999, starts with a stunning version of Cruel World. To me, the intricate and heavy textures woven together throughout this song evoke an industrial feeling that amplifies Scott's lyrics and energizes the mood of the song. Unfolding over 15 minutes, Scott's guitar seems to valiantly guide us through a landscape of despair and futility, like some sort of post-apocalyptic hero in search of comfort but content with survival. I love this song, and I think this version is something special. After Cruel World, Mark and the band deliver a resplendent version of See It My Way, a song written by Jamaican singer-songwriter Toots Hibbert. Clocking in well over 14 minutes, this version of See It My Way offers some impressive improvisational jamming by the entire band. About 6 minutes into the song, Mark initiates the jam with some fiery playing on the keys, and about 4 minutes later, Scott takes over lead, delivering a full-throttled guitar solo that runs through the remainder of the tune. From here, the band transitions into a fun and energetic version of Wild Side, which is followed by a glowing performance of Solitaire Love that's truly sublime. Next, Mark leads the band through a magical version of Said and Done that transports you back in time to a moment in history, perhaps imagined or maybe inspired, that feels on the brink of impending and dramatic change. Lyrically, Said and Done is a mountain. In my opinion, it stands as tall as anything you'll find from the most recognized songwriters of our time. So if you'll allow me to indulge myself for a moment, I would like to read the first verse from this epic tale. Well, come all you survivors, you warriors all, you souls of breath impervious to pain, and sit down at my table with your backs to the wall, and tell my time, your stories, stake your claim. We'll lift our voices up in song and raise our glasses high in praise of all the battles we have won. But the days are growing shorter and the time is growing nigh to account for all the things we've said and done. Now, I've probably spent hours just thinking about this song. In doing so, I find myself not just contemplating the meaning behind the lyrics, but also letting my imagination paint the intense visuals Mark's lyrics evoke. After Said and Done comes a heavy, 15-minute-long version of Blood Red Roses. John sings the song with the passion and power we've come to expect from this classic Creek tune. Scott's scorching hot guitar solo surrounding the final chorus punches our senses square in the nose. The band then goes on to reframe the song, shifting into a new, extended jam grounded in some intensely hypnotizing percussive rhythms created by Scott Alshouse and Rob Fried. After Blood Red Roses, the crowd at Higher Ground in Winooski, Vermont, back on April 4th, 1999, is given a spellbinding version of Something is Forming, which I played earlier during the introduction to this podcast episode. Like a tall glass of water, this nearly 13-minute-long version of Something is Forming is cool and refreshing, the perfect complement to the hot and heavy Blood Red Roses that preceded it. In its conclusion, the song Something Is Forming gradually transitions into a cover of Who Do You Love, a Bo Diddley song originally released back in 1956 that is one of Bo Diddley's most popular works. As a singer, guitarist, songwriter, and music producer, Bo Diddley is recognized as a key influence on many other artists, including Elvis Presley, the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones. Showing their own unique appreciation, Mark and the band deliver a haunting version of the song. With a slow tempo, soft lyrics, and expansive feeling, this version of Who Do You Love feels both foreboding and supernatural. I wish I could have been there to experience this one in person. It must have been memorable. And then, as if somebody abruptly turned the lights on, the mood at the show dramatically shifts as we're gifted a happy and joyous version of You're the Only One. But that light is short-lived because after You're the Only One ends, Max Creek launches into a dark and heavy version of The Same Things that tears the fabric, binding your sense of safety and security, unleashing raw emotions that seem to intentionally put you at odds with yourself. In some curious way, I find myself wondering if in this song, the repeated lyric, "Why Don't You Ever Call Me," is perhaps a distorted echo from the song Who Do You Love, performed earlier in the set. Don't you think it's interesting the connections we can make between songs? Okay, after nearly 15 minutes, The Same Things concludes through a transition into an incredible cover of Sailing Shoes, which is the title song from Little Feat's 1972 album. After crushing Sailing Shoes, the band charges forward with an impeccable version of Devil's Heart that's soaked with emotion. And to close the set, Max Creek performs a tight and rowdy cover of the Talking Heads song Life During Wartime from the Talking Heads' 1979 album Fear of Music. For the encore, Mark leads the band through a truly impressive cover of Tangled Up in Blue, a song from Bob Dylan's 1975 album Blood on the Tracks. Mark's lyrical delivery of this classic Dylan song is superb, and his interpretation of the song on the keys is also incredibly captivating and absorbing. This is certainly a highlight of the show, and after some extensive jamming, Tangled Up in Blue ends with a transition into Back Porch Boogie Blues to close out the show. Now looking over this entire show, Max Creek played one song from their self-titled 1977 album, which was Back Porch Boogie Blues, and two songs from their 1983 album Drink the Stars. Those were Blood Red Roses and Devil's Heart. Max Creek played three songs, which were Wild Side, Something Is Forming, and You're the Only One, from their 1998 album Springwater. They played one song, Cruel World, that appeared on their Live at the Connecticut Expo Center 12/31/99 album, released in 2000, and one song, Said and Done, that was included in their Live at 45 album released earlier this year. Max Creek also played two songs that have not yet been given an official album release, and those are Solitaire Love and The Same Things. Alright, now let's hear a couple songs from this incredible Max Creek show. First up, we're going to hear Said and Done, and that's going to be followed by Tangled Up in Blue. This is Max Creek performing at Higher Ground in Winooski, Vermont on April 4th, 1999.
Well, come on, you survivors, you warriors, oh, you souls of breath impervious to pain, and sit down at my table with your backs to the wall, and tell my time your stories, take your claim, and we'll lift our voices up in song and raise our glasses high in praise of all the battles we have won. But the days are growing shorter and the time is growing nigh to count for all the things we've said and done. Come sit a bit beside me and reflect, if you will, upon the many hands that we all played, and all that we have done to build our houses so tall, the fulfillment of the plans that we all made. And as the night grows older and the candles grow dim, and laughter slows and memories entice, whispering in the corners of the cobwebs of the room lie the ghosts of all the souls that paid the price. Once I was a hunter and a fighter by trade, and a killer and creator all in one. Soon enough there comes a time to let the children we've made carry home the stones when we are done. Now standing here above you, I survey my domain from my window in a tower on a hill, gazing at the sunset with the wind upon my face and feeling somewhat more than unfulfilled. Now somewhere in the distance, a long time ago, I gave my heart to what I thought I knew. I don't know why you left me, and I don't know where you went, but to carry on was all that I could do. And oh, it was the only thing that see me through. Now early just this morning, I thought you were there. I swear I saw you standing by my bed. And then I saw your figure vanish, dissolve into air, with the memory of you aching in my head. And may God look down upon me and be kind at my end, should I fail to see the writing on the wall. But may the God of the person that dares to live look down upon me too, 'cause sometimes I feel I need that most of all. Now somewhere in the distance, a long time from now, a part of me believes that you'll return, and the memory of your life and the love in your eyes is enough to fan the fire that still burns. In the springtime I will sleep and you'll open my eyes, and I'll know just what is false and what is true. But in the summertime when the sun is high, I'll dance until I'm done, and when September comes I'll think of you. Barbarians are knocking, it's time we should leave. Let's grab our coats and hats and let us go. And lock the door behind you, but don't leave a key. And don't look down to see what's there below. You know, the wheels that we set turning will echo through time, although our days are numbered, I suppose. The children of our children will shiver in the chill of the shadow of the master that we chose.
Now that was incredible. Next up, Tangled Up in Blue.
Early one morning, the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she'd changed at all, if her hair was still red. Her folks said our lives together sure was gonna be rough. They never did like Mama's homemade dress. Papa's bank book wasn't big enough, and I was standing by the side of the road, rain falling on my shoes. Headed out for the East Coast, God knows I paid some dues. I'm getting through, tangled up in blue. Well, she was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. Helped her out of a jam, I guess, but I used a little too much force. We drove that car as far as we could, we abandoned it out west. Split up on one dark Saturday night, both agreeing that it was best. And she turned around, looked at me as I was walking away. I heard her say, oh, over my shoulder, we'd meet again someday on the avenue. Oh, tangled up in blue. I had a job in the Green North Woods. I was working as a cook for a spell. I never did like it home that much. One day the axe just fell. I drifted down to New Orleans. I happened to be employed working for a while on a fishing boat right outside Delacroix. And all the while I wasn't alone, the past was close behind. She might have women, but she never escaped my mind. And I just drove, tangled up in blue. Well, she was working in a topless place and I stopped in for a beer. Just kept staring at the side of her face and the spotlight so clear. And later on when the crowd thinned down, I was just about to do the same. She was standing there in back of my chest. She said, "Don't I know your name?" I muttered something under my breath. She studied the lines on my face. I missed her by the little line easy when she bent down to taste the laces of my shoe. Tangled up in blue. She lit a burner on the stove and offered me a pipe. Thought you'd never say hello, she said, "You look like the silent type." You opened up a book of poems and she handed it to me, written by an Italian poet from the 13th century. And everyone with them boys rang true would live like being cold. Tearing up of every page like it was written in my soul, from me to you. Tangled up in blue. on Montague Street in a basement down the stairs. There was music in the cafes at night, revolution in the air. And then he started to deal with slams and something inside of him died. She had to sell everything she owned and she froze up inside. And then finally, when the bottom fell out and I became withdrawn, the only thing I knew how to do was to keep on keeping on like a bird that flew. Tangled up in blue. And now I'm headed back again, going to get to her somehow. All the people we used to know, their illusions to renown. Some are mathematicians, some are carpenters' wives. Don't know how it all got started, don't know what to do with lives. But we're still on the road and we're headed for another joint. We always did agree, we just saw it from a different point of view. Tangled up in blue. Tangled up in blue. Tangled up in blue. Tangled up in blue.
And that concludes my review of Max Creek's performance on April 4th, 1999 at Higher Ground in Winooski, Vermont. I highly recommend you check it out. You can stream or download this Max Creek show on archive.org. And if you have feedback about this episode or recommendations for future episodes, visit hookedoncreek.com and click the contact link to send me a message. Thanks for tuning in.